Painting water can be a pain in the butt, but don't worry. I'm gonna show you how to paint water and water lines using a palette knife by teaching you the under and over technique, so that way you can dominate your water in your landscape paintings every single time. And we're getting started right now. Hey, what's up all you awesome and creative people? Wild here to make sure your painting adventures are bigger and better. If this is your first time here and you need help with tips, tricks, tutorials, or general inspiration, hey, that's what I'm here for. Make sure you hit that big red subscribe button down below and tick that bell so when my videos go live for you. Water everywhere and not a drop to drink. That has nothing to do with the video, but I thought it was clever. In this video, I'm gonna show you two techniques to make water lines in your painting, so that way your painting stands out more, and it's gonna give it that natural depth look that you've been trying to achieve. Now, I already went ahead and threw up a very basic landscape here, and I did it in two sections. On my right-hand side is where I'm gonna teach you the over technique, and on the left-hand side is where I'm gonna teach you the under technique, okay? When it comes to doing the over and under technique, both require palette knives. Now, if you're gonna paint anything in the background or midground, I recommend using the smaller palette knife so you have more control. Anything in the foreground, I recommend using a bigger palette knife so that way you cover more ground and speed up your painting process. But you pick and choose which one would be best for you. All right, let's dive into this puppy. I've just got some basic titanium white and my small palette knife, and all you wanna do is pull it out to be very thin. You can see how it's already breaking on my palette here. And all I want you to do at a nice 15 to 30 degree angle, go across and make a nice little cut to where you're gonna have a ridge of paint at the very top of your palette knife. And as you come to your painting, I want you to approach it at a 15 degree angle and go parallel with the canvas, and we're gonna cut straight across. Now, when you do the over technique, this is for specular highlights, because all you're really gonna get is the paint that's grabbing off the top of the knife, giving you a nice, strong, straight line. This is great for when you want water to look like it's crashing just on the shoreline in certain areas, because it's gonna be nice and bold. As you go across your painting, just tip the knife up a little bit more to where it will add a little bit more of that paint because it's exposing it more to the canvas. If you're just starting out, I recommend going really slow by adding one line after another. This way you'll have more control, and as you get more comfortable, feel free to scratch back and forth the lines, because this will add a little bit more detail and add thin and thick parts, which make it look like the water is actually rolling or crashing on the water's edge. Also, feel free to flip the knife over so that way it's a little easier for you on certain sides. As you can see here, also, this will give you a better representation of what I am doing. If you made any mistakes laying in water with the palette knife, you can easily blend them out with a fan brush, or if you need to soften your highlights because perhaps they're in the background, again, you can soften them with a fan brush. Just go back and forth very lightly. Let me show you the under technique. All we're gonna do is we're gonna cut across and come the bottom side of our palette knife right here, so that way we have all the paint at the bottom. And again, we're just gonna scratch in, approach the same way, but as we scratch, we wanna pull the paint down slightly, and it's gonna add a little bit of water ridge around our scratches. So we're just gonna start scratching in. It's gonna add these beautiful ridges like white water and whitewash are kind of spraying up on the shoreline and adding a little bit more movement to our water. When using the under technique, the nice thing is you can layer and go on top of your shore break multiple times to really add that sea foam or water crashing effect. Make sure you play around with it because it's one of the best ways to add a bunch of texture to your painting. The under technique is great if you want to show off a lot of movement in your water because it gives a lot more of that white water rapid kind of look, and it looks like there's a lot of motion, whereas the over technique looks a lot more calm where it only has one or two specular highlights like water crashed a little bit. But both these techniques are great depending on what you're going for. And you can mix and match. You could still add the over technique, which would add beautiful specular highlights right where the water meets on the edge where the rocks are, and you could still have this motion. So feel free to pick and choose whichever one you want to do. The nice thing about the under technique is you can take your fan brush and lightly blend out portions you don't like, or just kind of mellow the roughness of the water out so it's not as flowy. And you can blend in, you can pull out, you can do whatever you want. This is one of my favorite techniques to do. It also is a great way to cover up any particular type of mistakes that you did, which is always nice because that's the best thing about wet on wet oil painting is you can always cover up your mistakes. If you also want to soften the effect a little bit, just again, take your fan brush and lightly just go over, and it's just going to fade a lot of those lines into the background there. One final note for everybody out there that plans on using palette knives to put in water lines or water accents to their landscape. Don't overdo it. It's really easy to kind of get away with putting in a lot of water lines, but it's not going to make your landscape look natural. And if you feel like you put in too many, an easy trick is just take your fan brush and just scrub in the back edge of that highlight part of that water line, and it's naturally gonna blend into the water. Also, if you made too many mistakes, you got too many big blobs, or they're kind of scratched in at weird angles and they're not looking good because you wanna keep your water kind of level, you can also blend it out with a fan brush or 1 or 2 inch brush. Also, if things are way too harsh because they should be softer in the background and a little more detailed in the foreground, you can use that same technique. Take a 1 or 2 inch brush or your fan brush and naturally slowly blend things in the background and lighten your touch as you come closer to the foreground. Now, when it comes to water, I personally love a lot of texture in a painting, but to each their own. I would probably try on a spare canvas that you have, try putting in really thick water lines and try putting in some blended ones. Hey, most paintings call for both, but I really love the natural texture that pops off a painting. Makes it stand out a little bit more and gives you that personal style that's gonna look beautiful for when it hangs on your wall. Let's just move this out of the way so my handsome self can be in the outro. If you guys like these types of videos where I show you tips and tricks and some tutorials, let me know in the comments down below and I'll see what I can do to help you out in some future videos. I love helping everybody out. If you need any more help from my channel, you know what you can do? You can always go over to this video right here, which is gonna teach you some more awesome tips and tricks to help you become bigger and better with your painting adventures. And until next time, all you beautiful people, stay safe, stay creative, and of course, peace.